Hey, yes, we are live. Yay. So, do you need leadership development as a micro business owner? In less than 15 minutes, I'll be sharing the answer to that question. So, hi, thanks so much for joining me. Please like and share this video if you get value from it. We are live on Facebook and on Instagram. If you're listening to this on the replay on the podcast, thank you so very much also for your support. So I'm Dr. P and I'm a strategic business coach. I've been a school psychologist for about 10 years, served on professional organization committees, taught more than 10 online graduate psychology courses. And throughout my career, throughout my whole development path of being a school psychologist and on to becoming a strategic business coach, I've had people compliment me on my leadership skills, right? And I've even been asked, how, when, where, how, did I get to develop my leadership skills? And I'll be honest though, the first time somebody asked me that, I really couldn't answer that question because to me, I just viewed it as getting up and doing what I knew I needed to do. There were times when that meant helping others so that they can achieve a goal that they had in mind. Therefore, I was able to then achieve what I needed to do. And sometimes it even meant showing others how to do certain things, modeling how to do certain things. And I just went and I did it, it's just things that I did. Along the way, there were people I worked with, collaborated with, and I learned things from them. They taught me, different ways of doing things. So I guess along the way, I was taught these leadership skills without even realizing that I was doing it. Because it's not as I sat in a class and, was taught about leadership skills. Because to me, there's so much in life that is going on that we can continue to learn from and to help us to continue to develop and grow into the individuals that we want to be, right? There's so much out there. So for me, from completing graduate school to working as a school psychologist, I remember getting involved in student organizations, right? And also state and national and international professional organizations. Actually, as a student at Nova Southeastern University, a graduate student there in the school psych program, I was actually recognized for my leadership skills, and I was inducted into the Omicron Delta Kappa National Leadership Honor Society. Right? And at the point in time, I really didn't understand what that meant, but it was years later when I was like, whoa, this is a big deal, because to be recognized for the leadership skills that you have and how you share it with others and help others to grow is really an accomplishment. So yeah, apparently I have really good leadership skills is what people have told me along the way, and I continue to develop those skills. So yeah, there were skills I learned when I first started graduate school, but then there are some skills that I grew and develop and continue to develop as I continue as a strategic business coach, right? Because there's just something about continuing to learn and grow that really helps me as a leader, and I share it with others so that way you too can continue to grow as a leader in your field, in your profession. And the thing is, there's so many different types of effective leaders out there, right? And I'm talking about, there's so many different kinds. I know when you hear about leaders, the first that come to mind for a lot of people are the bad ones, bad supervisors that they've had before, bad directors, bad bosses. But I also encourage you to think of the good ones, the ones you enjoyed working with or working for, however it is that you phrased it, and the ones that you learned things about and learned things from. And those are the ones I'm talking about. And now, you as a business owner, you know what? Let me ask you this. As a business owner, do you think you are a leader? Just something for you to think about, right? And raise your hand if you said yes. Now you can go ahead and lower that hand, right? Thanks so much for participating in that. But to those who believe that you are not a leader as a business owner, I challenge you to think about your role in your business and think about that question. You might be a solo entrepreneur, you might be a micro business owner. You made the decision to run and lead your own business. You made that decision. So if you're leading your own business, do you see where I'm going with this? I mean, you're leading your own business. So does that not mean you're a leader? Just really think about this. Because again, I know you went from working for somebody else, to leading your own business and being your own boss that really makes you a leader, right? Because leaders come in all different forms. They really do. And being an effective leader requires to continually develop our leadership skills. When we started our businesses, we did so using some type of leadership skills, or maybe a few different types of leadership skills, right? When we started our business. But as our business grows and develops, we also need to grow and develop with it. So this is one of the many reasons why we need to continue to develop our leadership skills, right? So I know you might be saying, hey, I took one course when I first started my business and I learned so much from that course. Now I don't need to do anything else, because I'm good. I'm set. I'm going to be an amazing leader. But that was one course, however long ago that you took it. So I'm going to challenge you again. And think about your industry that you're in, whichever industry you're in. Now, think about the changes that have occurred in your industry. More than likely, there have been some type of changes, whether that change is small or whether that change is large. Point is, there has been some type of change. So knowing that the industry you're in has changed somewhere, somehow, somewhat, there's been some type of changes. Knowing that, how are you going to lead your business into keeping up with those changes? How are you going to lead your business to make the necessary changes to keep up with the change in your industry? That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying having that leadership development as a micro business owner, right? This is really where leadership development comes into play. So I was reading this Vistage article recently, and it was talking about leadership development in areas that are often overlooked by CEOs. And as the owner of your own business, you may have a title of CEO, founder, managing director, president, or some other title. I'm not here to talk about titles today. I actually have a video that I did on using titles as a business owner, because different titles might carry a different meaning depending on the industry you're in. And I also shared some tips on some titles that you can avoid. So you could look into my Facebook, my Instagram, or my YouTube library to find that video on what should you call yourself as a business owner. I believe that's what the title is. So regardless of the title that you have for your business, you are the owner of your business. You're leading your business, right? So this leadership development does relate to you. So these are 3 areas that were mentioned in this Vistage article about areas of leadership development that are often overlooked. And the first one is continuous education. Because, okay, you went to a conference, or you go to a conference each year, and you go to a few breakout sessions, and you get lots of knowledge. Then what do you do when that conference is over? What do you do next? I mean, you have that knowledge. What do you do? Chances are that conference is with people who are in your current profession, in your industry. They might think similarly to you, but are they challenging you to think outside the box, to think differently? Continuous education means that you are engaging in activities where you're continually learning. Sometimes that learning does include being challenged. So you might consider joining a group that can give you that challenge that you're looking for, and be active in this group more than one time per year. Because yes, I'm not saying that professional organization conferences aren't amazing and great learning opportunities. I'm not saying that at all. I'm a part of a few professional development organizations, and we do have our annual conferences, but we also have different events and activities throughout the year between the conferences where you can continue to learn and grow and develop, and you can be in different groups with others who have different interests and different expertise to bring to the table that you can consult and collaborate with and develop even more skills. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of joining a different group. And there is really so much that we can learn from others in other groups, right? And for example, I was actually watching this documentary on BBC, right? And it was supposed to be on agriculture and some agricultural changes that are happening across the globe. So I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. I was not expecting to learn about technology, though, in the agriculture documentary. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you would have expected it. But when I'm talking about technology, it's like all this amazing stuff that is being developed. And it even had some technology experts on there who said when they were going to school, learning how to create different apps and learning how to create different programs, they weren't thinking they were going to use it in agriculture. A lot of them thought they were going to be using it in gaming, but no, they're using it in agriculture to help power tractors, to help power sprinklers, to help farmers with understanding, which areas of their field they should be plowing, where, different soil samples, which seeds will be growing better in those different areas. So they're using that technology. But here's the thing, in order to get there, they had people in technology and they had people in agriculture coming together to develop something. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of looking outside of just your group that you're always connecting with and going to other groups where you could learn something and even use it and apply it in your business. So hence you're continually learning. So you can take courses about different leadership styles as well, because you might be using one specific leadership style. There might be another one out there that might actually be better for you, for your business, and also for your team and your employees, right? So continuous learning. That's the first one. The second one is vulnerability. Now, if you're like me, when I first heard this word, I heard somebody say being vulnerable as a business owner. I was like, what does being vulnerable have to do anything with being a business owner? Really wasn't quite sure how the two connected, because as a business owner, shouldn't you be showing strength? I didn't think it meant that you should be showing weaknesses. So does this mean they should see you cry? I mean, what exactly are you meaning when you say be vulnerable as a business owner? So it's only when I learned more about how vulnerability comes into play with being a leader that it started to make sense to me. So by the way, it doesn't mean letting your employees and your vendors and whoever you work with see you cry and see you being defeated. It's not those negative things, right? What it talks about when you're talking about that vulnerability, and by the way, hiding your vulnerability can actually be more exhausting than being vulnerable. So it relates to things like saying, I don't know, when you don't know how to do something, because then it shows people that you're not perfect. It shows that imperfection. And vulnerability also connects with that emotional intelligence that I'm sure you've heard people mention about, that, is being encouraged in the workplace, that emotional intelligence, and having that in your toolkit. And according to Angela Camboris in the article on entrepreneur.com, she does talk about that vulnerability and that connection with emotional intelligence. And it is showing others that you don't think that you know everything, and that you are willing to accept help so that you can be an effective leader. So saying things that you don't know and actually listening to others, listening to a different point of view, and maybe even reconsidering a stance you had on a particular issue, because now you gain a different perspective and now you can actually make a better decision. So those are the type of things, is really accepting other people's point of view and listening to them, saying you don't know. So those are the type of things that come into play really when you are talking about vulnerability as a business owner. And then the third one I wanted to mention is consider joining a mastermind or a peer group. So do you think that joining a mastermind or peer group should only happen when your business is failing? Just a question for you. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand or anything on this one. But I really hope you don't think so. Because when you're experiencing successes, you're still learning and you're still improving. That success can be leading you down a path that you have never taken before. That's the thing. Because you're experiencing a success you've never had before. So you're going down this whole path that you've never seen, you've never experienced before. And because of that, you're going to be exposed to different things. So being a member of a peer group can allow you to learn from others, because they may have been down that way before, or they have something to bring to the table to help you to think about things that you probably aren't thinking about, because you're so riding on that joy of the success. So that's just another one of the many reasons of being a member of a peer group. And they can challenge you too. They can challenge you to think about things that are not right now on your radar. And they can also give you some tips and suggestions on how to set your business up to protect yourself from some possible future challenges that you're not even thinking about right now, right? Or you may be thinking about them, but not quite sure how to set up your business for it. Because in the peer group, you're working with other business owners and CEOs from different industries, and you're coming together with that diverse knowledge and experience to help each other grow. So when structured correctly, a peer group is not only confidential, but it can lead to such amazing positive growth for you and your business. and it's facilitated by a business coach. So yes, you're a business owner, but you know that you're also leading your business. Don't let that one workshop that you did last year be the only workshop that you took on leadership. I just shared 3 ways with you on how you can continue to develop your leadership skills. There are more out there, and regardless of which one you choose, just follow through on it. And one of those is going to help take your business to that next level. So do it for the sake of your business. So thank you so very much for joining me. I'm Dr. Priscilla Kuser with Priscilla Kuser Consulting Solutions. Remember, solutions plus actions equals results. Bye.